There was a woman in her early 60s who couldn't understand why her days felt so short. Not in time, but in energy. By mid-afternoon, she felt like she had already used everything she had. Not from hard work, not from stress, just gone. And the strange part was, she couldn't point to anything that caused it. No big effort, no major problem, just a quiet drain. Every single day, until one afternoon, she noticed something small. The way she moved through her day wasn't building energy. It was slowly taking it away. And she had been repeating it for years. Energy is not only about how much you have. It is also about how you use it. And more importantly, how you lose it. Most people believe energy disappears because of effort. Physical work, mental strain, long hours that leave the body tired. But after decades of observing my patients, I learned something surprising. There is another type of energy loss, one that is less visible, less obvious. Energy that is drained, not by intensity, but by inefficiency, small actions, repeated throughout the day, that require more effort than necessary. Constant switching between tasks, interrupting yourself, moving without clear structure. These patterns seem harmless, even normal, but they come with a cost. I remember a gentleman named Harold, a retired office manager in his late 60s. He often told me he felt tired by early afternoon, even on days when he had done very little. He wasn't lifting heavy objects. He wasn't walking long distances. He wasn't under major stress. Yet by 2 or 3 p.m., his energy felt gone. So one day, I asked him to describe a typical morning in detail. He told me he would start making breakfast, then check his phone, begin reading the news, then remember something in the kitchen, sit down again, then get up to adjust something else. Nothing difficult, nothing demanding, but constant shifting. The brain had to reset again and again. The body had to adjust again and again. And over time, this created a steady drain. Not enough to notice immediately, but enough to reduce overall energy across the day. Which is why many people feel tired without doing anything particularly demanding. Because the energy was not spent all at once. It was gradually used in small, inefficient ways throughout the day. The woman who felt drained each day began to observe her routine more closely. Not what she was doing, but how she was doing it. At first, nothing looked unusual. She completed chores, prepared meals, answered messages, watched television. Everything seemed normal. But when she paid closer attention, she noticed something subtle. She rarely focused on one thing at a time. Her attention moved constantly, from one task to another, from one thought to the next. She would start folding laundry, then pause to check her phone, begin washing dishes, then remember something in another room, return later, and repeat the cycle. It felt productive, busy, active, but also fragmented. And fragmentation, my friend, quietly consumes energy in ways that are easy to overlook. So she decided to try something different. Not doing more, but doing less, with more focus. She began completing one task before moving to the next. If she started washing dishes, she finished them. If she began preparing food, she stayed there until it was done. At first, it felt slow, almost uncomfortable, like resisting a familiar habit that had been repeated for years. But she continued, and within days, something began to change. Her mind felt calmer, less scattered, less rushed. Her movements became smoother, more deliberate, and what surprised her most was the afternoon. Instead of feeling drained by mid-afternoon, she noticed she still had energy left. Not because she had done less, but because she had used it more efficiently. What she realized was simple. Energy is not just about activity. It is about how that activity is structured throughout the day. Constant task switching is one of the most common sources of hidden fatigue, and most people don't even realize it is happening because each switch requires adjustment. The brain must refocus, re-engage, rebuild context, and this process uses energy, not a large amount at once, but small amounts, repeated many times throughout the day. I once spoke with a retired school principal named Margaret, who complained that she felt mentally exhausted by early evening, even on days when she stayed home. She told me, "Doctor, I didn't do anything difficult today, but I feel worn out." So we walked through her typical afternoon. She would watch television while checking messages on her phone, pause the television to respond to something, return to the show, but miss part of the story, then rewind and start again. At the same time, she kept thinking about small tasks she needed to complete later. Nothing heavy, nothing urgent, but constant switching. Each time her attention moved, her brain had to restart the process of focus, and that restarting, again and again, consumed energy that could have been saved. You see, the brain prefers continuity. It functions more efficiently when it can stay with one task long enough to complete it. But when attention is fragmented, energy is scattered. Over time, these small interruptions add up, leading to mental fatigue, reduced clarity, lower efficiency. People assume they are being productive, staying busy, keeping up with everything around them. But busyness is not the same as efficiency, and inefficiency quietly drains energy without warning, which is why the day can feel exhausting, even without obvious effort. Improving energy does not always require more rest. Sometimes, it requires better structure. Focusing on one task at a time is one of the simplest and most effective changes a person can make. Not rushing, not stacking multiple activities together, just finishing one before beginning the next. This reduces the need for constant adjustment, and when adjustments decrease, energy is preserved more naturally. Another helpful approach is pacing, allowing small pauses between tasks. Instead of moving immediately from one activity to another without a break. These pauses give the brain time to settle, time to release the previous task before engaging the next. I remember a man named Leonard in his early 70s who struggled with afternoon fatigue for years. He believed the problem was aging, but when we reviewed his routine, it became clear that his mornings were filled with nonstop activity. One task ended, and another began immediately. No transition, no pause. So I suggested something simple. After completing a task, sit quietly for 1 minute, not checking a phone, not starting something else, just sitting. At first, he thought it sounded unnecessary, too small to matter. But after a few days, he noticed something surprising. His mornings felt less rushed. His breathing felt steadier. And by afternoon, he was less tired than before. Short breaks can be powerful, not filled with noise or distraction, but with stillness, These moments allow energy to stabilize instead of continuously draining. Fatigue is not always caused by doing too much. Sometimes, it is caused by doing things in a way that drains more than it should. The story of feeling tired without clear reason is more common than many people realize. People assume something is wrong with their body, that aging has reduced their strength, that time has taken something away from them. But often, what is being lost is not strength, it is efficiency. The way energy is managed throughout the day, through movement, through attention, through daily rhythm. I remember speaking with a woman in her late 60s who described her days as short and exhausting, not because she lacked time, but because she lacked steady energy. When she began changing the structure of her day, focusing on one task at a time, allowing pauses between activities, something slowly shifted. Not dramatically, but steadily. Her mornings felt calmer, her afternoons felt more manageable, her evenings felt less overwhelming than before. And what surprised her most was how small the changes had been. No special equipment, no complex routines, just intention, just structure. Because in the end, the energy you have is not only about how much you begin the day with, it is about how much you keep, how much you protect, how much you avoid wasting in small, scattered ways. And sometimes, the difference between feeling drained and feeling balanced comes down to one simple shift: doing less at once and more with intention. One task, one moment, one steady rhythm, repeated day after day.